Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown, the unofficial sumo podcast for official sumo fans. This is Fleric.
This is Jake.
And this is Mac.
All
and
right,
you
this
may
driving the
notice
bus.
Yes.
The driving the bus is already chaos. The Ryan is not here.
I didn't notice that. Who is going to do the starting part?
Mac,
sorry.
So I did better on the end of year predictions, so I do the starting part, as everyone knows.
And then
rules.
we jump and sorry.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're just walking all over each other here.
This is already chaos. So I'm just gonna kick it over to you, Jake, and we're gonna end up in a ditch somewhere if I go much further. So
There is priority. There's priority here. You were the best in last year's, which has allowed you to be first for announcing, and something happened in this tournament that made you again fantastic with predictions.
I am really good at guessing predictions, aren't I, Sukebito, Jake?
Oh, it's really frustrating how you are just absolutely on fire. You've now won 4 of the last 6 Basho.
I think we need a Ricky Bobby award where it's like, if you're not first or last, because Fleric has continually demonstrated if you don't win, you lose. And it's like, okay, he's either won or lost all of them this year.
He's 11 of the last 13. He has either won or lost. Yeah. The last 2 years, 2 years plus, it's Fleric is first or last. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's I don't know if that's good or not. I mean, you're certainly winning more than you're losing, but yeah, okay. I would take that since I just do nothing but lose.
Yeah. All right, Jake, why don't you take a hold of this bus and let us know why Ryan's not here?
Yeah, well, as many of you are unfortunately aware, due to some comments made on social media, Ryan is no longer with the pod. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. He's on a work trip.
That would be his downfall. He just gets too heated of a discussion about just how much trash Oho is, and then he's just done. We have to drop him.
Yeah, he would go too far. I don't even know what would be the going too far for Ryan. What would be the thing he was pushed over the edge on? Doesn't matter though, because now that he's gone, we can have fun by celebrating. We have just completed our 7th year of covering professional sumo.
Yes.
And without Ryan here, I mean, we can have fun. I cracked open a margarita already. This is
cheers.
Back to just doing it for fun, not for serving Ryan's interests, right?
Indeed. This is going to be an all fun podcast.
Nothing but fun. Yeah, this
nothing
is
but fun.
AFP, all fun podcast. That's today. But no, little housekeeping before we get started. First off, just wanted to mention our Patreon. Please consider supporting the show. The support we've gotten from patrons has allowed us to upgrade our microphones, which is why we sound so much better than we used to. Thank you so much for supporting us over the last few years. And a big thank you to all of our patrons, except especially the completely randomly selected Little Green Cicada. I hope you and your 13-year and 17-year broods are having a great summer, demolishing my ears. I am not a super cicada fan this year.
Now that Ryan's not here, Jake, I have to give you shit about everything. So I definitely heard you say, but thank you, everyone, except...
I corrected myself. I think I said especially.
Yeah, you corrected yourself.
But you're right. I should have said except, because, yeah, like I said, not a huge cicada fan. I'm not as much of a gigantic wuss as Ryan is about cicadas. We should get a little counter that dings every time we trash talk Ryan while he's not here.
Ooh.
Okay, and then real quick on amateur sumo, there is a decent amount of stuff coming up in the next couple months. Actually, just this coming Saturday, the Harvest Days Open will happen in Midvale, Utah, and also the 2nd annual Scottish Open in, this may shock you, Scotland. Coming up in September on the 6th through the 8th. I believe the 7th is the main day, but we have the World Championships of Amateur Sumo in Poland. We are going to have more coverage on this podcast coming up with a couple interviews and hopefully just a recap afterwards of how our team did. But yeah, look for more of that coming up. And then in October, we have 2 tournaments. We have the Olympia Sumo Championship happening in Las Vegas. That is October 12th, and then October 26th, the Consulates Cup happening in Austin, Texas. So that's all we got. Ryan usually trash talks me for going over, but that was a pretty quick housekeeping, I think.
Succinct. So. Nice.
Yeah. Man, gosh, we really don't need him. Let me go over our results real quick, and then Fleric is going to take us through the last couple days of the U-Show race because we somehow got it right, but also like got every detail wrong when we were predicting where things would go from the midway.
Yeah.
But yeah, the overall results, the 10,000 foot view here, the headline obviously is Teruno Fuji getting his 10th career U-Show win, making him officially, I believe, a Dai Yokozuna. So pretty cool. We have a singular June U-Show winner. That is the playoff loser Takanosho. He was Maegashira 6. This is his third career June U-Show. Special prizes. The technique prize went to Hiradoumi, the first-time Komusubi. This is his first ever special prize. Let's see. Shukunsho, the Outstanding Performance Award. That goes to Sekiwake Onosato. The Outstanding Performance Award is kind of judged based on like who was the one who was able to topple the guy that went on to win. And in this case, Onosato was the one who kind of most convincingly beat Teruno Fuji, or at least that's kind of my interpretation of this award. But that is Onosato's second career Outstanding Performance Award, his sixth prize overall. Takanosho would have gotten this prize as well if he had won the playoff against Teruno Fuji, but since he missed it, he only got the June U-Show and the Fighting Spirit prize. That goes to Takanosho, his third career Fighting Spirit prize, fourth total prize in his career. So, Fleric, why don't you take us away with how did the U-Show race turn out after our midway, and how did that go along with our predictions versus like I said, we kind of got the headline right, but we got most of the details totally off.
Real quick, I feel like it's like when you put the final answer in on a test and then you just say, oh, no, I know this is the answer. But then they want you to go back and prove that math makes sense of everything. It's like, no, but this is just how it's the right answer. We got it right.
We did not show our work properly.
We did not show our work.
Yeah. It's not about the result. It's about the friends who beat you up and give you losses along the way.
It's about the bones we broke along the way. Yes, exactly. Oh. Maybe the U-Show was inside us all along.
Yeah. That make you sweat a little bit. But yeah, the U-Show race, up to like day 8, we were feeling pretty good that Teruno Fuji was going to win it. And honestly, up till day 10, everyone was feeling the exact same thing. Teruno Fuji was still undefeated. Kotozakura was with 2 losses right behind, and then we had 4 Rikshi with 3 losses right behind them after that, which was including the eventual Jun U-Show winner of Takanosho. So it was Teruno Fuji had like to lose 2 to even like just be even with people. So he was looking like he was just gonna go just straight and go take it away. But then we got up to day 11, and that's where we got Onosato faced off against Teruno Fuji. And that's where he earned his Shukunso Outstanding Performance Prize. And he was able to topple Teruno Fuji, officially opening up the race where we can have some people that can actually possibly win it from here on. At the end of day 11, we end up with Teruno Fuji with 1 loss, and then 5 Rikshi behind them with 3. Go ahead,
yeah.
Jake.
Kotozakura also lost on day 11, though. So even though Teruno Fuji had a loss, he was still 2 ahead of second place. But the crack in the armor had been made, and it started to feel a little bit more open to me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Teruno Fuji looked a little bit more human, and I think gave some motivation to everyone else. From there, we have day 12. This is where we started I think we started getting some matchups. Yeah, we started getting the Ozeki matching up against each other. To start off, Wakataka Kage was a part of that group of 5 with 3 losses. He fell to Ichi Yamamoto, so he kind of fell out of the chasing for the title. Takanosho beat Ura, so Ura drops down. Maybe not Ura, but he continued on the U-Show race from there. And then we had the Hoshuri versus Kotozakura, which in a fantastic match, which I thoroughly loved, where Kotozakura looked to be doing pretty good, but then Hoshori does what Hoshori does, is where he gets him to the edge, and then he does that kind of double throw thing, but he's always a little bit better, a little bit more flexible than his opponent, and he was able to take him down. So people were riding high. Kota Sakura gets knocked down from the Yusha race, and Hoshoryu is looking good to like maybe even contend and win the whole entire thing. From there, Terunofuji stabilizes. He wins against Abi, so he stems the bleeding. So Terunofuji is still on top with one loss, with 3 Rikishi behind him with 2 of Hoshoryu, Takanosho, and Chura Naomi. So all eyes are probably on Hoshoryu at this point because, yeah, Ozeki, he's probably going to win. Go ahead, Nak.
See, of the 3 that were a few losses behind, I was like, okay, Hoshoryu, yeah, okay, yeah, you could probably challenge him. I could see that. But Takanosho and Chura Naomi, I'm going, oh, yeah, nah, easy, blowout. Teru, you got this. No way.
Yeah. Takanosho maybe like a little bit like, he might stick in it a little bit longer, but like even a Jun Yusho seemed like optimistic at that point.
Agreed.
Chura Naomi, I'll admit, even to day 15, I was like, nah, this guy's whatever. But I was not a believer, but yeah, I absolutely am with you. Hoshoryu was like, oh yes, clearly it will be him to push the envelope.
Yeah. I think that was what everyone was thinking. But then on day 13, we got some terrible news that Hoshoryu unfortunately had to drop out injured. Apparently he injured his hip. I think I heard from Kitamiyama's video. I think like a ligament possibility, which is be very sad. But once again, another Rikishi drops out of the Yusha race, and so there was only 2 behind. But from there, the 2 chasers actually did pretty well, and they were able to continue on. Chura Naomi was matched up against Komusubi Daisho. They're starting to get higher up. Or get higher up with the matches, so they're saying, hey, these guys, let's see if you can actually win. And he was able to beat Daisho, who's looking pretty good. And then Takanosho matches up against Kirishima, and he takes down Kirishima, which was also a big upset. And Kirishima, I think that was one of them. He might have been out of the keeping his rank at that time, but him losing that one was he did not want to lose that match. From there, Terunofuji went up against another Ozeki against Takakeisho, and he just easily took him down as well. So Terunofuji still firmly in the lead with the Yusha race. But it was just it definitely is still, all the chasers were keeping up with him. But that match against Takakeisho was good because that was ensuring Takakeisho's drop to Sekiwake. That was his Make Koshi. So that was a big match with the drama surrounding that from there. So at the end of day 13, we have Terunofuji still leads with 1 loss, followed by 2 Rikishi with 3 losses, Takanosho and Chura Naomi. Which takes us to day 14. Chura Naomi is matched up against the massive Sekiwake of Onosato. Onosato's looking good. He just beat Terunofuji. But what happens? He loses. So Onosato beats Chura Naomi. Kind of the expected result.
Yeah.
Terunofuji is matched up against Takanosho, and this is where it gets weird because Takanosho beats the Yokozuna leader, and he just kind of adds another loss to the Yusho to the Yokozuna. So once again, blowing open the Yusha race, saying, "Hey, anyone can win. People can win it from here. It's not just a lock."
And it was at this point that I started sweating. I'm going, "Oh, no! Wait a minute, Teru, you had this.
Hey, wait a second.
What are you doing?"
Yeah. Hey, real quick, what do you without even looking it up? What do you think the record is between Takanosho and Terunofuji?
I'm gonna take a stab and up to that day.
Yeah, let's say before this matchup happened, what was their score at?
I would say Terunofuji 5, Takanosho 0.
I will go a couple more, maybe like 10-1 for Terunofuji.
They were 7-6 in favor of Terunofuji.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So after Takanosho wins, they were even. They were actually even at 7-7 in their entire careers. That I literally did. I would have guessed exactly how you guys did, a blowout in favor of Terunofuji, but I just checked it now because I was kind of curious to see like how big an upset is this? Because like we always go back to like what was it, Tochinoshin and Hakuho? It was like 27-1 or something like that.
Yeah, that's something ridiculous.
But no, this one apparently these guys they're pretty even. And Terunofuji winning the playoff, as we mentioned here, or as we're going to start talking about more, that puts him at 8-7. So like that's still one of the most even records that Terunofuji has against anybody. That was very unexpected for me.
Wow.
Yeah. There's some Rikishi who just match up against each other quite well.
Right.
I didn't realize they fought each other that often. I had thought that, but I forget that Takanosho was an upper level mainstay for a long time. It's just
exactly.
I didn't realize that he fought Terunofuji that often.
All right. To close off this breakaway and close off this Yusho race. So we had Takanosho versus Terunofuji, and Takanosho ends up beating that. So we end day 14 with Terunofuji still leads with 2 losses, but and only Takanosho right now behind with 3 losses, which kind of brings us to a thing where in order for Takanosho to win, he has to win his match on day 15, and Terunofuji has to lose, and then Takanosho has to win the playoff match right there. So there is still a chance for him to win. It's still very favored towards Terunofuji, but there's still a chance. And Takanosho was eyeing it. He was smelling some blood. He was thinking about his first Yusho. So that takes us to day 15, and Takanosho is matched up against the upset king, the Shukansho himself, the massive Sekiwake Onosato. But he did a little better than Chiro Umi. He was actually able to get the win against him, against the new blue chip prospect that Jake talks about so much. And so he was able, he did his part, and now he still needed Terunofuji to lose in order to have another match. But he did like the hard part, right? He did the hard part that he had to do. Now he just had to wait. And for Terunofuji, he was matched up against another massive matchup of Ozeki Kotozakura. And like there was very Takanosho. Excuse me. That's the matchup from there. And so the best part about, I think, with Takanosho when he beat Onosato, they had a camera shot to Terunofuji, and you just kind of see him with that cool as cucumbers. As okay,
his arms folded.
Yeah. Zero emotion on that face at all. It was perfect.
And so he takes us to the matchup of Terunofuji versus Kotozakura. And so it was another great match between the two. But Terunofuji unfortunately ends up dropping to Kotozakura, and it officially becomes a playoff for the Yusho. It's exactly what Takanosho wanted, the maximum drama, the playoff that we all love, and it takes us up to the final bout of the day to decide the Yusho. And there was another playoff match against them, a rematch of the day 14 match, and it was another kind of quick, but Terunofuji, I think, had a good start off into it. He was able to clinch it, able to beat finally Onosato, and he clinched it. He went backstage. Hakuho gave him like a little kiss on the cheek. It was great, and he got himself another Yusho. He got up to 10. The Dai Yokozuna kind of level that people talk about, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, such a cool. I don't know. I don't think we've seen any particular signs that Terunofuji's going to retire like right now. We've been talking about it feeling like it's been imminent for a while, but this was one of the big what do you call it, thresholds that he might have been looking for before he was ready to hang it up. Getting that 10 Yusho record. That's a big divider between people who have gotten there and people who haven't.
Yeah. It used to be a little bit more meaningful, I think, back in the day, because I think 10 was kind of the level where you can kind of get that Ichidai to Roshi. You can get like an elder stock name. You can kind of
you can keep your own name.
You could keep your own.
Even when you retire, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've since gotten rid of this, so it's kind of not very as important getting to 10. But getting in that double-digit wins of Yusho is something only very few Richie have done in their entire career. So it's very, very impressive.
But all that being said, he did decline. I mean, he was looking great through day 8. He was looking great through day 10. And then he started dropping. Then we started seeing the breaks in his armor. And then it just kind of, luckily he staunched the bleeding at the end, but it still came down to a playoff. I know we've brought this up. He's finally achieved Daiokozuna status, but are we officially now starting to see the decline of Terunofuji?
It's I guess kind of an open-ended question. Well, who do you want to answer that? You took the wheel of the bus, Mac.
Yeah.
All right.
Took us off a surprise exit here. Where are we going? Did you print out the MapQuest directions, Mac?
Oh, no. I don't use that. I just drive the roads, baby. But you should know that.
Getting to where you're going is more of a vibe than a science, right?
I'll get there.
Yeah.
I'll get there. I think this road leads there. I'm in a complete wrong state. It's fine.
Sorry, go on, though.
But with this point, because we expect such a powerful performance from the Yokozunas. Now, granted, we got that in the early half of the tournament, and then it just got a little more shaky. Now, I will talk about one of the particular matches later on, but there were certain Rikshi that when he went against them, it could have gone either way. There were no definitive, yes, he's got this, this is all wrapped up toward in the second half. There were a couple, granted, but it just kind of got a little more wild and a little more wild. We're seeing more of that come from him, from his style of sumo. It's not as dominating. So I'm wondering at this point, was this a flash in the pan, or can we expect more from him? Are we seeing his decline and this was just one of those last bursts of triumphant victory?
Yeah. So I sorry, go ahead, Flair.
So I kind of hinted about this, I think, in some other episodes, but I have a theory, and I think that theory is that we're starting to get some big boys that compete with Terunofuji size-wise. Koto Zakura, Ono Sato. Not Terunofuji, Takanosho is someone who I don't really know because he's kind of maybe a mid to big size, give or take, but he's always had a really impressive tachi when he was like up there in the Joy. He was probably like a Daisho, but he was probably right up there with Daisho when he was on point. So I think this is just kind of a telling of the meta that we're starting to get some big guys who can compete with him. So he can't get some auto wins. He's still heavily favored because he still was like won the Yusho and did very, very well. But we're starting to get some people who can compete with him. So I think he's maybe declined a little bit, but I think his competition's gotten a lot better.
Sure. Yeah, to me, I think he's at that stage, and Hakuho was at this stage for a long time too, where he won't even enter a Basho if he doesn't feel like he's going to be the favorite. So like let's see, this is the first Basho he's even completed since January, and before that it was the prior May. So like, yeah, he's entered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Basho in the last about 2 years or so.
Something like that.
And he's only completed 3 of them. 3 of them he dropped out by day like 6-ish or so.
Well, that's why we came up with the day 5.
That's why we keep talking about like if he's even there on day 5, that means that he's going to win the Yusho. And the last 3 times that he's made it that far, yes, he has won the Yusho. Yes. But yeah, I think he's at that stage where Hakuho was, where it's like he's the most skilled guy out there. He's going to remain the most skilled guy out there, regardless of his health. So he might as well make sure that his health is as good as it can possibly be before committing to a full Basho. And yeah, if prior Yokozuna careers are any indication, this is like the final act. Whether that act lasts another year or it's already done or what, it is like that last act, that last section of a career. So yeah, I'm not super optimistic he'll be here for too much longer.
But while we have him, it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's very cool to see his dominant wins. Like he still, if he locks in those overhooks, that's still pretty much a death sentence, right?
Oh, absolutely. His style of sumo is still just so entertaining to watch, where if he can lock in those elbows, lock in those shoulders, or get that double over shoulder grip, and then just dominate his opponents. Like that's big boy sumo. That's the fun stuff.
Yeah. And he looked really good. Like he was moving so fast, like in the beginning of the Basho. I was just like, he's definitely like on form, I think, as a Yokozuna. I think he's looking really, really good. It was a joy just to watch him wrestle this entire Basho.
Yeah. And he did fade. Like, of course, he lost his last 2 matches. He lost 3 of his last 5. Clearly that means that like as the Basho wears on, you know, he's getting tired, he's getting beat up. But it also kind of means like that's when his toughest competition happens, is at the end of the Basho, right? So it could be a little bit of both of those factors. But yeah, when there wasn't anything in particular this Basho where he got up limping, or there was like he didn't collapse in a worrying way or anything. So I hope he got out mostly unscathed, even if tired. You know, I hope that there was no new injuries or re-aggravated old ones. Yeah. I'm somewhat optimistic that he's, you know, maybe he'll actually complete a second one in a row for the first time since mid 2022.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, before that he was doing, he basically did every single Basho from his return to the top division until he was already a Yokozuna. And then he finally had one where he dropped out. Then he completed 2. And then we've entered this phase since the end of 2022 or so. He has been, just enter one and win it, enter the next one and pull out by day 5. And then, we'll see if
stay
that
gone for
continues.
a couple.
My question on Terunofuji is now that he's achieved this Daiyokozuna status, he's no longer being measured against the other wrestlers because he's a Yokozuna. He's moved on from that. So he's being measured against other Yokozunas. But now that he has this Daiyokozuna status of 10 wins, he's being measured against those guys. So where do you think he lines up compared to the prior? Let's see. I'm going to list off the last handful of guys that got 10 Yusho.
I was about to say, how far back are we going?
We're not even going to bring up Hakuho, who is 4.5 Daiyokozunas.
Yes.
Even Asashoryu is 2.5 Daiyokozunas with 25 Yushos. Okay. But how would he compare to guys like, let's say, the 12 Yushos of Musashi Maru, or the 11 Yusho of Akebono, or even the 22 Yusho of Takanohana? I'm curious, where is he going to finally land? Because to me, there seems to be this tier up above with Hakuho and Chiyonofuji, and then there's just like the regular Yokozunas. And I don't know where I would put him, because maybe here's a different way I should ask. How much of his legacy comes down to, how much is his legacy affected by the times that he was in and the circumstances that he had to overcome? Because he did have a whole bunch of career where he could have been winning Yushos that he was working his way up from the bottom divisions, right?
Right.
When you look back on Terunofuji, like let's pretend that we're 10 years from now. Like what do you think he might be as like his final spot in history? What do you think we can predict on that front? And yes, I know a lot of that will depend on what does this next year look like. Does he enter the next 6 and win it, or is he done already?
As soon as you mentioned 10 years in the future, my knee just started hurting. So.
Yeah.
Nah, I think it's kind of hard to compare different eras. It's kind of like I'm not an NBA guy, but I hear there's a debate about Michael Jordan and LeBron and some other people maybe in that thing. And it's one of those debates that no one's ever going to have a good answer for, at least to my understanding. So comparing to like the likes of like Akebono and Musashi Maru, I think it's going to be really, really tough. But the one thing that really does stick out to me is the fact that you talked about the hardship of where he got really bad injured back in 2017. I think it was just trouble with diabetes and some like the flu and other stuff. And he actually kind of made history. He was the first Ozeki to actually drop down and actually get out, I think, of the salary ranks all the way below Juryo. Which
he went down to Jonidan, so the second to last division.
Yeah, that made headlines at the time, because most of the time, like Ozeki was, this would be too shameful. I should actually retire from here. I should not continue on. But I think he either had the determination and hopefully some good advice from like his stable master Isekahama. He seems like a pretty upstanding guy, at least when it comes to injury and health. Mm-hmm. And like he actually took that hit. He kind of took the risk, like, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to heal up and see what I can do. And he went there and he got healthy and he worked his way up. And then like the first time he got back into Makuuchi, he got himself a Yusho. He came back with a vengeance, and he's also the guy who fought with the last bout with Hakuho. He's the one that's no one's going to forget that one, that insane match that they had. Yeah. So I think there's going to be some highlights, but for me, the determination of coming back through injury is going to be the one thing that kind of sticks with me.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that's what sets him apart from all the others. And that's what you're going to think of is his fall and then his rise back up, how he overcame everything. Like he's a set apart from the others, not in a bad way, but in a no. His story, his return, his triumph, and what he continued to do. It's like, no, he's his own category, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some significant I don't want to say asterisks, because that sounds like I'm trying to take away from his legacy. I think the two major factors that I anticipate being the things that are discussed about him in the future are, one, that injury is that comeback is ridiculous. On the other hand, one thing that might work a little bit against him is that he got most of those wins. Let me actually go back and count real quick. Hakuho retired then. He got one. Yeah, so when Hakuho retired, Terunofuji only had 4 of his 10 wins. So 6 of his wins have come post Hakuho, which is undeniably an easier thing to win, an easier period to win a Yusho than during or pre Hakuho. Or yeah, you know what I mean.
Hakuho involved at some point.
Yes. So how does that stack up against, let's say, Haruma Fuji, who only got 9 Yusho, but it fully overlapped with the Hakuho era? So I'm kind of curious where that's going to end up. And that's something that, like I mentioned, we can't know until we know the end of Terunofuji's active story. You know, when he does retire, then we will be able to determine for sure, like where, or maybe I should say we will begin to be able to start stacking him up against history once he has finished writing that story, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm really confused by, not confused. I'm excited for the potential to have a few drinks and argue very, very spiritedly into the night over what those weird factors do to Terunofuji's legacy and how he measures up against everybody else.
We all meet up at some random pub, some random bar, just get around and be like, all right, let's hash this out. Who was the greatest Yokozuna and why? And just continually argue.
And we agree on
forth.
Like the first 5 or 6. And then it's like, all right, but number 7. Oh no. Oh, here it's going down. Yeah. Real quick before we anybody else got points on Terunofuji? I got one more thing to cover before we move on. Nope. Okay. We're going to take a look here at we have Sumo Follower on Twitter updated us on the YDC convention, or deliberations, I should say. The YDC, that's the Yokozuna Deliberation Council. They're not official in any capacity, but it's like a bunch of like stodgy old guys that like have been sumo fans for 1,000,000 years.
I love how you said that. They're not official. But...
No, not in any way. Yeah. They have 0 official power, but they are like an advisory council.
Yeah, the history of it is actually pretty funny, of where it's like, I think back in the 50s or 60s, people were kind of rumbling about Yokozuna, whether they should retire or not. And the Sumo Kyokai Sumo Association was like, well, we can't have this. Let's just get an official group of bands that are going to complain. So at least they're going to be informed when they complain about stuff.
Yeah.
So they get like politicians or like some like professors, or it sounds like it's probably, who knows how actually knowledgeable they are about stuff, but they're the people who are kind of allowed to complain, I guess, or kind of encourage or stuff like that. So
yeah, it anytime the YDC is brought up, it makes me think of like fat guys in like suit vests puffing cigars and like harumphing at things, like with their monocles, like oil baron types and such.
Mr. Moneybags just multiplied.
But no, either way though, the YDC, let me get this tweet back up here. The YDC convened earlier today for its post-Basho deliberation. When I say today, that is the 29th.
Okay, so a few days ago. Or yesterday.
Right. But they say, first, Terunofuji, they say that it's too bad about days 14 and 15, where he lost his last 2 regulation matches. But for a Yokozuna with health issues, it was an excellent performance. So that's kind of the headline. So as usual, there's a little bit of, I'm going to use that verb again. There's a little bit of harumphing of like, you should be entering the future.
You could have done better.
Winning those 2. You could have done better. But, the quote I saw was, invest all your efforts in taking care of your health and your mental resiliency. Basically, they just, as our official, unofficial advisory board, please continue doing good sumo. It's basically like the headline here. Some other notes, like everyone else, the YDC is a little disappointed in Ono Sato. Not that 9 and 6 as a Sekiwake is terrible by any means, but like
I was about to say,
you're the golden child right now. Come on, it's not a disappointment, but darn it, I wish you would have done better.
Your Ozeki run.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I think like I definitely have I have my issues with the YDC. Sometimes they say stuff, but I love stuff like this because they're definitely sumo fans. Because they're complaining like, "What the hell, Teruno Fuji? You dropped a couple matches.
What's that?
We're supposed to win everything. What the hell? You just beat the user, whatever."
Yeah, they adjust their expectations so that 99.5% of the time they're just slightly disappointed.
Yeah.
The other thing that I found amongst this recap from Sumo Follower is the YDC is actually interested in bringing back the old Kosho Seido system. Basically, that was a system in which once a year, if you had an injury that you sustained in competition, once per year, you are allowed to take a basho off without your rank suffering. So that was, as we all know, sumo is extremely injury heavy. It's just terrible. As a human being, terrible idea to do sumo. Awful idea. Just the worst thing you can do. But
hey, Jake,
that being said,
when's
the next sumo practice?
Actually, if you're free Sunday afternoon, me and Brandon were trying to put something together. Anyways, but yeah, in the old days, let's see, the dates were 1972 to 2004 is when this system was in play, where depending on the circumstances of your injury, you may be given a pass to just have a freebie where you can sit out, recover, effectively have 4 months off instead of 1.5. And then you can recover, get better, and have a longer career, even if it means not everybody is competing every single basho. So
I see nothing wrong with that.
I don't either, but I don't know. We've gone over it here and there in the past. It's something that, as Western sports fans, this is one of the things that sticks out is like, of course you should do that. Like, please, we want to see Teruno Fuji wrestle for longer. Well, I mean, he's a Yokozuna, so that doesn't necessarily count. He could sit out if he wants to. But the point being, like, as Western fans, this is something that is pretty popular. But the counterpoint is that what if people abuse it and they sit out when they're not actually injured? So,
yeah, I think when it was originally abolished, I think Ozeki were kind of using that to like extend their Tadaban for like a little bit longer.
There you go.
So like Ozeki already can have like a basho off, and so if they give a second one, they can like they can probably take more time off, and these are the superstars that everyone wants to see wrestle.
Yes,
so I think that was
exactly
what kind of caused all the grumbling.
Makes
but yeah,
sense.
I just want to give more context because I'm definitely a big fan of that. Because sumo is kind of unique that there's no off season. It's just kind of every 2 months. It like clockwork. There's a basho. So having kind of a system for people other than the people all the way at the top to get healthy I'd be a big fan.
All right, let's call YDC East. We'll have a convention with YDC West. We'll meet up at a pub. We'll get a couple pitchers of beer, and we'll just talk about it. And like, okay, let's hash this out. This is a good thing.
Yeah. And then we'll decide who's better, Teruno Fuji or...
Yes, exactly.
At all. Okay, next item of business.
Yeah, are we YDC West or JSA West, or do we make both jokes depending on the situation? I think we do both, don't we?
Both. I think we do both.
Yeah. GSB.
I think we're usually
AKA...
YDC West, but sometimes we put on our monocles and cigars and we pretend we're...
we pretend. we stuff our suit jacket to be like, yes.
I have it right here, just off camera, in my monocle tray. Tray? How would you store a monocle? Pouch.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't have one. I don't know.
A rack.
You don't have a monocle?
No.
Why don't we move on to our Junyu show winner? Let's spend a little bit more time talking about Takanosho. He had a bit of a rough start to this basho, but obviously he recovered. Part of why we completely disregarded him on our midway.
Correctly chose the winner. Oh, no, we didn't.
Yeah. So he lost his first 2 days, and day 4, he only won because he got a Fusen. Then he kind of just went on a tear. After day 2, his only loss was day 7 to Kin Bozan, which was Kin Bozan? Like, yeah. Really? But other than that, he just tore through everybody. And it wasn't, at least for me, it wasn't until like, I think it was him beating Kirishima where it was finally like, okay, maybe Takanosho is actually a contender this time around. And And then, yeah, he beat Kirishima, Terunofuji, and Onosato on the last 3 days. That's wild. Just an incredible finish for him. So what do you guys think about him? Like, is this we mentioned briefly earlier that he was in the Joy in the Sanyaku, like, in the top 10-ish guys for, let's see, it looks like about a 2-year period up until about a year or two ago here. So yeah, the last year and a half, he's kind of been floundering a little bit lower. Is he back? Mac, what do you think here? Is he actually back, or was this one the fluke?
Thinking this one was the fluke. Do I want to believe that the Joy Takanosho is back? Yes, because I enjoyed seeing him up in the Joy. I do like watching his sumo because it's a style of his own. It's a bigger-ish. I wouldn't necessarily call him big boy, but he's in between, and he pulls some tricks out of his bags. He's great, but I need one more. I need one more to definitively say, okay, he's back. Because for right now, this is looking like a fluke to me.
Sure. Clark, what you thinking?
Yeah, I absolutely love this guy. I was pulling for him so hard when he was in the Joy because I just loved how fast his Tachi has pushing game. He's like,
plus his smile, his smile and the eyebrows.
he has a great face as well. You can't deny it. He's in the same stable as Takakeisho, so I know they were training and pushing against each other all day. That's how he got so good. But yeah, I just the last couple years, I've just kind of lost my faith in him, and this is kind of surprising. I love it, but I'm kind of with you, Mac. I'm not exactly trusting it just yet, but I don't know if he gets up to the Joy and like he did how he did today. Like, I would not mind that. It would be fun.
Yeah, you mentioned his Tachi, but other than his Tachi was pretty good, but I didn't really see anything in his sumo that was blowing me away or that was obviously a tier above everybody, other than, like, obviously the results speak for themselves, but I didn't see something like, sometimes when we see somebody go on a tear like this, it's like, oh wow, look at this outside grip control, or wow, he's really working his trips or something. There's something where it's like, this is identifiably something that he is doing well. And for me, like, yes, his Tachi were pretty good, and I imagine a lot of it is the stuff that we are not educated enough to see, that like those good Tachi got a better grip than we were able to necessarily see. I'm guessing that's a big part of it. But to me, there wasn't anything mind-blowingly obvious that was like, this is good sumo. This is Takanosho having a good style that will be replicatable in the future. It was just kind of like, I guess he just kept winning. I feel kind of dumb because I can't explain why, and I feel like I should be able to.
I will agree with you where I feel like his Tachi is definitely dropped a notch since I think his prime, when he was really tearing up a couple years ago. I think that's the biggest thing that makes me think like he's probably not back. But yeah, I'm with you. I still think he was still getting some advantages, but it wasn't extremely dominant like we've seen some people like Daisho do like in the most recent years. So sure. Yeah, I know it looks sus. He kind of looks sus still.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, so here's why don't we talk about him in this context? Is he going to be somebody like, let's say, Hokuto Fuji? Is he going to be somebody that can pop off and get 10 plus every now and then, but is really just kind of a mid Maegashira career-wise? Or is he a Tamawashi who will do better when he's healthy, do okay when he's not, and just blow up for a Yusho every now and then? Is he more of like a mainstay guy that can do okay? Or is he just on his way out, but can totally take control when he has the opportunity?
That's a good question.
I thought so too, because I don't know what my answer would be if I was asked that question. Yeah. What do you think? Maybe a simpler version would be, do you think that he will get a surprise Yusho in his later career here? Because he is about to turn 30, and that's generally like the peak. So if he has peaked, what does the rest of his career look like if that's the case? I don't know. I don't think I see him getting a Yusho, but he would be one of those guys that's like not completely mind-blowing for him to sneak one out. What do you think, Flair?
Yeah, I think it's when I look at the new prospects of like young Rixie coming up, I see them just probably just getting better and better and better. And I think that's probably gonna be the thing that makes me believe that he won't be like the Tamawashi, where he just randomly gets a Yusho somewhere. I kind of reminds me of the Hokuto Fuji, where he's just gonna have some good results, get back up to the joy, and then maybe drop down. I think this next Basho will be a big tell about how he's gonna do. But
Sure.
I'm a little bit more. He's a little sus. He's a little sus.
But it's because he's sus that I think he's more like Tamawashi. Because how many times did we expect Tamawashi to get a Yusho? At least for me, 0. I was like, there's no way this guy was going to win. And yet he's won 2. He's been able to pop off and win 2 and he's an Iron Man. And I like it when I see Tamawashi do well, because when he's on, he does phenomenal. But when he's off, he doesn't do good at all. Just stay off the ring. So I think I'm leaning more toward the Tamawashi camp on this on Takano show.
Sure. You think that it's there's a, we don't have to quantify it, but you think there's a decent chance that he could get a surprise Yusho at some point?
I would say odds are good for at least one surprise.
Sure. All right. Why don't we move on to the Ozeki as a whole, because this is a mess.
Big changes.
You notice that none of these names came up while we were talking about the Yusho race. So why don't we bring up, I don't know. Let's start with the easy one. Koto Sakura. Nice. Did okay. Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Crap. Like, can we not focus? No.
That was
10-5. Not bad for him.
Yeah.
But
good job.
Early.
Well done.
Yeah. Early losses in the beginning kind of took him out. Like he was never, he was there for a while until Hoshoryu took him down. He caused upsets, but he just too many unfortunate drops to be a Yusho.
He's not on a Yokozuna run, and he's not in danger of being demoted.
Hoshoryu Hoshoryu may have taken him down, but he paid for it.
Yeah. So moving down the rankings, Hoshoryu is the next guy to talk about.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah. Yep. 9-3 in the ring. And then he had to sit out 3 days. That hip injury, hoping that it's not too bad. I didn't search too deeply, but I didn't see anything definitive yet. I'm willing to bet that there's a report out there that says, ligament damage, recommend 2 weeks rest or some garbage like that, where it's just the regular sumo propaganda doctor's note.
The little I know from like when I strained my hamstring earlier this year, I hear ligaments take a little bit longer to heal than just straight muscle belly.
Sure.
So it might be the not as ideal one, but it like with all injuries to like that area, it's a spectrum. It could be just a minor one, or it could be a pretty intense one. So hopefully it's pretty minor.
Yeah, hopefully. Because that's a bummer. He's as super young and super promising as he is. He's one of the guys that I think we've all kind of pegged as a very potential Yokozuna. He could be one of the next big top guys. Like, not many people get to Ozeki by the age that he is. Let's see, is he like what, 24 now, 25 maybe? 25. 25. Just turned 25 in May, and he's still well ahead of like a normal career pace. Like that's like legit top prospect level pace. So
agreed.
But yeah, let's hope he can recover. He got 9 wins, so like he could completely sit out the next tournament and still be an Ozeki. So I kind of hope he does that if it is something ligament related.
According to his Oyakata, he injured his right hip joint, so not ligament. So
that's pretty vague. That could be a number of things, though.
Right. That's what I'm like. It's still not good.
I haven't heard that yet, so
I'm looking forward to our next preview episode where we say they told him 2 weeks rest. So I guess, I don't know, if he's healthy, I bet he'll do well. That kind of thing.
The regular song and dance.
The regular song and dance of sumo predictions. All right, next down we have Takakeisho, Ozeki, or should I say not Ozeki, Takakeisho.
Ow.
Ouch. Ow. Too deep. He went 5-10 after going 0 last tournament. Forgot about that. His last couple have kind of run together for me because this was his 4th bad tournament in a row. Last tournament he had 1 match. Gosh, do you guys remember that the match itself, or like did he pull out for a new injury, or was it like a re-aggravator or something? Like
which match again?
Which one?
Takakeisho in the last Basho. He did one match and then he sat out the rest of it. For the life of me, it's not. I can't figure it out.
You know, when he's done it so many times, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
which one? But last Basho, I'm like,
that's part of it.
That doesn't help.
He lost to Hirodomi.
Yeah, so, I don't remember what the injury was, and yeah, I'm sorry for all of you who are listening and are like, it was this. Why can't you remember? Aren't you supposed to be a professional? But the tournament before
I don't even own a monocle, man.
Mac doesn't even own a monocle. So support us on Patreon so we can improve the show. No, okay. In May, Takakeisho had one match, pulled out the rest of the time. In March, he got his 8 wins and then immediately pulled out for the rest of the tournament towards the end. The tournament before that, in January, he got 2 wins and then pulled out. And then 2 tournaments before that, he got a Yusho. So, like, yeah, he's been declining and quickly. That's all within the last year.
He was on a rope run like very recently, right?
Yeah.
If he won in November, that would have been that probably would have been a rope for him.
Wow. He has been falling fast.
He got so okay. So the elephant in the room, like he's dropping from Ozeki, and he hasn't been looking good. Guido, when he finally dropped from Ozeki, he retired instantly before the Bansuke committee met. That way, his name stayed as Ozeki. And he never had a Bansuke where he was lower than that.
Right.
This Takakeisho did he just see the writing on the wall saying, I'm too broken and I missed out on being Yokozuna. Ozeki is probably going to be pretty tough. Do I just hang it up right now and do I move on? And I think you have a little bit of news that Ryan like scrounged up for us before this, right?
When the notification came up on Ryan's phone that we were recording, he was like, "Hey, make sure to mention that Takakeisho just got Elder Stock."
He sent several other messages that have just been blipping across the screen, like, dude.
He's living and breathing sumo, but unfortunately, he's
just not here.
Yeah,
his mobile setup is not good enough.
I bet you he's like at dinner with people that he's supposed to be professionally impressing.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there going, "Wonder what they're talking about. Did they mention this?
Did they mention the Elder Stock? Oh no,
where are they? They should be recording about this time right now. Where are they in the recording?"
So the 30-second version, Elder Stock. There's a limited number of stocks in the company that is sumo wrestling, and you have to purchase one from somebody else, and you have to achieve certain levels of success before you're even eligible to purchase one. So yeah, they're very limited. It's something that people hold on to as like $1 million investments. If they have the chance to get them, then they hang on to them until the right time comes or the right person comes to sell it off, or they reach the age of 65 and they're required to retire.
Yeah.
So,
and this one of the only ways to actually still stay a coach in sumo after you retire.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you need one to be a coach at all, but I think that you need one if you want to be a stable master or like certain statuses within the coaching world, I think.
I believe you're correct. Yeah,
that sounds right.
So
I think they have some unofficial coaches that might be paid by the sumo oikata themselves rather than the sumo company. The sumo association.
Yeah. Owning one of these stocks is like it's like a license to be employed by the sumo association, basically. So yeah, they're very sought after, and achieving one or acquiring one, I should say, is definitely on the side of the scale that says Takakeisho might retire. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but it's certainly one little piece of weight that goes on that side of the scale versus, I'd say, like his gamesmanship that he's always displayed, his like get 8 wins and then pull out to rest or whatever. You know, that's something that says I don't think he'll retire. So that's I don't know. There's
good waffling there, Jake.
Yeah, so we got some waffling, but
I'm a professional fence sitter. Yeah,
I don't know which way it could go, but I
want arguments
answers
on both sides.
I'm going to demand answers, but you know what, Jake? I think I've heard enough from you. I want to know what Mac thinks. What do you think about this Takakeisho guy? Is he going to stick it out, or is he done?
When you finally achieve something that is so highly coveted and guarantees you a future within the sumo organization, whether as a coach or an oyakata or just continuing on until the ripe old age of 65 when they boot your ass out the door, I would say, you know what? Let's go. I've hit this I'd say unattainable, but not likely to be obtained certification within the Sumo Association. Yeah. So what more do I want? Like, do I want to keep beating myself up and try and reclaim Ozeki and get to the Yokozuna level? Or do I take the coaching option and get paid to coach other people to go get beat, get hit, and go up to the Yokozuna level? And then I can say, ha, I trained you. That sounds like a better deal to me.
No. Okay. Does he put up with the shame? Because he's still going to be Ozeki Wake. He's going down to Sekiwake. He has one more chance to get his Ozeki rank if he gets 10 or more wins. Does he bear the shame of his name showing as a Sekiwake before he possibly retires? Or does he say, no, I can't bear that like a Goeido. I'm going to retire before that.
I thought about that too. When you brought that up, I started thinking back to it. I think he'll try it because he's done it before. That was one of his big claims to fame was he fought back he lost Ozeki, was able to reclaim it by getting those 10 wins and reclaim his title. I think he wants to do that again and not do the Goeido method where it's like, no, I'm going to go out with my name still as an Ozeki on the Bansuke. I think he's going to at least try one more time to fight back and get it.
Oh, that's the courage I love to hear. All right, Jake, you still going to waffle or are you going to pick a side?
I was putting evidence on the scale, but you're right. I should take a side. I say 99% plus he will not retire this Basho. I will put 0 stakes on it, but I will say that I am very confident he will not retire. Next Basho, if he misses the 10, then I would be a little bit, then I think I might go back to my waffling, get back up on top of that fence and just stay put, just sit right down on top of that fence. I think that the gamesmanship aspect that we've seen out of Takakeisho, I think that he's plotting numbers. He's figuring out exactly what he needs and how much does he need to push himself to do whatever he wants or whatever his goals are. Not only do I think that he is going to stay in sumo for at least this next Basho, I think that I would give him good odds to get those 10 wins because when he really needs something like that, he can pull it out. And I think, I don't know. Who knows if I'll change my mind by the time we're talking about this again on the preview. I would bet that he is going to get his 10 in September and he's going to regain Ozeki because that's the Takakeisho I know. He will do whatever he's got to do, and when it comes down to it, he will henka the hell out of everybody he has to. He will henka 15 days in a row if he has to, but he will go for those 10 wins. If there's anybody that can do it in that situation, it's going to be Takakeisho.
Yeah, it's when you mentioned Mac that he recently he fought back before, and I'm thinking back to he was just less than a year ago. He had a Yusho and he was on a Suno run to become a Yokozuna. Like he's still he's fighting all these injuries, but he is still pretty close to the top of his game. If he just gets some kind of luck on his side. I was very tempted to just kind of waffle after calling you guys out.
After calling us out for waffling, yeah.
Yeah. But
positive.
I think I'm with you. I think he has more. This hurts me to say, but I'm going to channel my Ryan. I think he has more courage than Goeido to stick it out. Bear the shame of Sekiwake because he just has a chance to possibly go back up.
Sure.
The funny thing about this, we're probably going to find out any day whether or not he sticks around or not.
Oh, probably before we even release this episode. I bet he'll say, "Yep, I'm retiring," and anyone who thinks I wasn't going to is an idiot.
Right.
But
crap.
Oh man.
I do think he still can possibly have 10 wins in them. I think he's going to give it the one last shot. That's what my gut is telling me. But after that, he's definitely done in my book. I see no case where he sticks around if he fails to get 10 wins next Basho.
Yeah, that'll be tough. Let's talk about our 3 Sekiwake that all 3 of them potentially had a chance to become Ozeki again or for the first time. Abi and Onosato are 2 Sekiwake 1. Both of these guys were an extreme long shot, but with everything else that went sideways for the Ozeki clan here, I just wish one of these 2 would have popped off and made it happen. There's only bad news in this entire Ozeki situation other than Kotozakura doing fine. Yep. You know? there is only one person out of the 6 potential people here that were in the Ozeki discussion. There's only one of them that gets like all right, all is fine kind of pass for the next Basho. So yes, Abi and Onosato, like I said, long shot to get Ozeki, but mathematically they could have earned it this Basho. Abi got 8 wins, Onosato got 9. Both of them are still in a tough spot. Both of them are going to come into November with a shot to get Ozeki, but it will still be tough for both of them. So, you guys have anything more to say on those two before we get to the next and also saddest story of the whole Ozeki picture? Fleric?
I was just going to say end of an era. We had a bunch of Ozekis for a long time, like 4. And all of a sudden we're kind of like down. Granted, we lost Kirishima kind of last Basho, but he's officially out now.
Yeah.
So we're back down to exactly 2. And it's we're entering kind of a new era right now. It's something. I
remember very recently talking about, wow, we have a bunch of Ozeki again. We have like a top tier. Wow, these guys are all so solid. And they're gone. Yep. Bummer.
Sumo is so cruel. The tides change so fast.
She is a cruel mistress. So yes, let's talk about Kirishima. Kirishima was Ozeki for not super long, but he got his 2 losing records in a row, which means he was bumped down to Sekiwake. And if you're an Ozeki who gets bumped down to Sekiwake, you have to get 10 wins to go right back up to Ozeki. If you get any less than 10, you got to earn it the hard way, which is that the classic rule of 33 wins over 3 Basho. Kirishima had a shot here. If he had 10 wins this tournament, he would have been bumped back to Ozeki. He would have gotten that like semi freebie to get back his rank. Couldn't make it happen. It was day 13. He lost to Takanosho. That's right. We already mentioned that match. And taking his 6th loss on day 13. There you go. That's all she wrote. Do you guys think, Mac, we'll start with you. Do you think Kirishima will ever get back to Ozeki?
What first question then? How old is he?
Okay. That's a very fair question. He is 28.
Okay.
I guess that's younger than I thought. I thought he was around 30 or so.
I was thinking he was like 30 plus, but he's under the 30 limit. So I'd say, okay, all right. There's definitely a chance there. He has been able to put some dirt on the current Ozeki and future Ozeki Wake Takakeisho. But looking at combining that with his age, I think there's a possibility he could definitely come back. But he's just got to get whatever is plaguing him, whether it's his own mental game or outside external factors. I don't know, but he can reclaim this if he wants. He just needs to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah. Fleric, you think he'll ever get back there?
My heart says yes. My gut does. I was kind of looking at his record, and he has a Yusho just last November. So he's still my kind of Takakeisho. He's not far out of doing pretty well. He was on a sooner run going from November to January in Hatsu. So, but then like there's definitely it's hard. I don't know what's going on. Like he had that back injury. I think that kind of came around during Aki last year.
Back or shoulder or something. Yeah, he had like a couple things going on.
Thought it was his back.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think the back was the big one. But yeah, he has not been the same since then.
Yeah, so he's definitely has to figure something out. It's kind of the big question mark whether or not he can recover from that. And then the other big question mark we found out with Asanoyama getting back up to Ozeki after like all these young like people were coming in and doing pretty well is not an easy task.
No.
And so he has to fight against the likes of Onosato, Hirodomi. We can't count him out either.
Oh no.
It's gonna be really, really tough. It's going to be really, really tough. And so my gut does say yes. I think he's gonna pull it off. But he's gonna, I think, have a harder road than when he first did it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm not optimistic here.
You think he's done?
Oh. I think he'll be a Joy mainstay for a while, but yeah, I don't know. It really has only been the last year and a half that he put it together enough to. His Ozeki run started in January 2023. He went 11 wins, 12 wins, 11 wins. And since then, yeah, he did have that 13-2 U show followed by an 11-win Basho, but like he just hasn't been the same, and it's a bummer because he was awesome during that. He was Komusubi for a while, weirdly more often than he was Sekiwake. That's kind of strange. I didn't realize that, but he was so exciting and dynamic and using trips and using all sorts of cool throws, and it feels like as his sumo has gotten less unique, it's just kind of falling flatter, and he's also dealing with injuries, and I don't know. I'm not optimistic. I'd love to be wrong, but he's not somebody that I see having a extended future at Ozeki or above.
The one thing I would like to say in his favor is I saw some glimpses of his skill in a couple matches this Basho. It wasn't consistent. Yeah, but there was some flashes still there, so I think he still has it. He just has to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, why don't we hit on a few more guys in the top division here that are worth talking about, despite the or outside of the Yusho race and outside of the Ozeki picture. Let's start with Hirodoumi. The Hirodoumi hype train. It's in the shop. The brakes have given out. There are no brakes on the Hirodoumi hype train. It's actually a public safety issue. It is barreling down. There's no stopping it. It's impossible. It is out of control. What do you guys think about him? I think this Basho was a bit of a coming out party. Flarek, are you thinking that he's here to stay, or are you thinking what
I want
to
kick this back to you, because I think you're the first one on the midway who was saying like, I think I love this Hirodoumi.
So I kind of wanted to kick it to somebody else, but he's legit my new favorite guy in the top division here.
I'm with you, Flarek. I want to hear. It's like, okay, Jake, tell us how great is Hirodoumi?
I'm all for it. I feel like me introducing that question kind of gave away what I think. That's for sure.
Oh, really?
Okay. I guess I will. He's just so fast. He's feisty. He has a kind of a breath of energy, which I'm just loving. And he's like getting these, like, he told, I don't want to say like he got that dog in him, but like he definitely has some fight in him.
But he fights.
Yeah. Just a small tangent, but before I forget, speaking of like rikshis who just have like someone's number when they go against each other, apparently Hirodoumi and Atami Fuji is like Hirodoumi has won 7 times to 1.
Ooh.
So he definitely has his number going back all the way to Juryo, of where that's just kind of a crazy matchup.
A guy who's like a foot taller than him.
Yeah. And I feel like Atami Fuji blew up before Hirodoumi, so but apparently Hirodoumi just has his number.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's fast, he's feisty, he's fun to watch. He's kind of like Midori Fuji, but he's like a little bit bigger, so I kind of starting to believe he might be pretty good. He still kind of seems tiny, like a little bit smaller, but my heart wants to believe that he's going to do well, and like so far he's been delivering, so give me more.
He's definitely on the smaller side. Like Midori Fuji is like in the Enho and Ishiura, like completely separate weight class, outperforming where they should be, right?
But no less a fighter.
No, by no means. I'm just saying that like Hirodoumi is small, but he's not like, he's on the small end of normal is kind of where I'm seeing him. Somewhere like I don't know, Ura or Tobizaru are kind of like on the smaller, feistier side of things. But yeah, Hirodoumi, just the intensity is really what's different. Like, okay, bear with me for a minute. Have you guys seen the movie Megamind with Will Ferrell?
Yes.
No, Flarek? Okay,
nope,
well, Mac, you can humor me for this. There's a scene where Megamind he's a villain. Like the protagonist of the movie is a super villain, and he's like trying to engage in proper super villainy with somebody who is very new to being a hero. And he's like, this villain and this new hero are like fencing with street poles, and it's like, haha. Megamind says, and now we engage in witty banter. And the new superhero, and I won't say anything about him because it's a spoiler, but he's just taking a light pole and just wailing on the other guy, screaming, just like incoherent madness. It's like, no, that's not how you do it. You're supposed to. No,
you're new to this whole superhero thing. We're supposed to crack wise.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just screaming and wailing on him with a street pole. And that's kind of the vibe I get from Hirodoumi. It's like people are like Midori Fuji is like, all right, I know so many cool techniques. I'm going to engage. I'm smarter than you, and I'm going to engage.
My Kata Tsukashi is coming. Get ready.
Yeah, and Hirodoumi is just He's just screaming at you the whole time, right?
Oh God!
Yeah, it's like you're trying to fence with a Tasmanian devil, and it's like, Jesus, quit it, stop. No, I'm all about him. I'm super super excited about him, and yeah, like he's so fast. His Tachi is like lightning. It's so fast. It's so cool. Yeah. Who else should we talk about in the top division here?
Let me pull up the bonds.
Yeah, I was about to say, okay, was there anybody else worthy of?
I got a couple other ones, but I felt like I kind of got it on a roll there and took over for a while, so I wanted to pass it back to one of you guys.
I just want to see who else actually did pretty well, but we kind of covered.
I got a couple more bullet points. Flair, you got anybody?
I'm explicitly looking at the top division. Oh, I guess the top part of the division, the Joy, which Mike Ashir 4 probably I think counts with the way.
Yeah, I'd lump that in there. I'd lump that in there.
So I just kind of want to call it the Toby Zaru.
Yes,
he still quietly has just been sticking around, and he got some really kind of he's still just really really consistent. He had a match where he went flying out the dojo, so his prophecies
flying monkey fly.
Yeah, but he's just still quietly just actually really solid. So I just kind of like to keep seeing that. Everyone else, I think, to me, just has some flashes, but nothing that really stand out. At least for the Joy and up,
sure,
like the Mike Shore 4 and up.
Who do you have on your list then, Jake?
Churanomi. Why don't we do some quick hits here? I got questions that I can ask on these. So, Fleric, let's start with you on this one. Churanomi went 10-5. He was kind of in the Yusho race, though nobody really believed in him. Do you think he's legit enough that he can get 10 wins next time if he gets bumped up another 4 or 5 ranks?
No way.
No or no way?
I'll say no way.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, I'll come in hot. To me, he's the classic kind of lower mid Banzuke guy who just does pretty well for his competition. But as we saw when he faced harder competition, he just got demolished. So sure. I think as he moves up, I think he might Tachikoshi again. I hope he does, but I just do not see another dominating one like this where he's in the Yusho race.
Sure. All right, Mac, I'll take the Wakataka Kage question coming back for you. He ended up with 11-4. A little bit of a rocky start, but he ended up being kind of solid here. Is this good enough for you? Do you feel like he is on track to get back to where he was coming back from that huge injury that he had, or is this a disappointment at this low on the Banzuke?
I think he's right in line with where he needs to be on this, especially with his return to form. He hasn't been up in this division for year and a half, almost 2 years, if I'm remembering, from when he was last injured and had to drop down.
God, it's been so long, yeah.
But it's as we've seen before, when you jump up in the different ranks, it's a whole new skill level. It's like just a level of difficulty. It's no different than when you come from Juryo and you get up to the lower levels as a Magashira. It's still a big skill jump. And when you're not used to that, when you're used to a lower quality, no disrespect to the people lower than Makuuchi, but when you're used to that for so long, you can you can go through the motions and maybe get away with it a little bit more. But in this level in Makuuchi, you have to be on your game. And several of the matches that he lost, he was either outmaneuvered or he was overzealous and they took advantage of him and be like, nope, Hikio Toshi, or nope, your footwork was bad and I was able to outmaneuver you and you walked out of the ring. So I think 11-4 is good, and it's a reminder of, hey, these guys they're really good. They're up here at that next level, and you got to start bringing your A game just a little bit more. You can't relax. You got to keep going. You got to keep digging. So 11-4, good. I would just want to see what else he can do as he's going up.
Sure. Yeah, last topic I had for the top division was the other injuries that we hadn't mentioned. We talked about Hoshoryu a bit, but the more the earlier tournament injuries that seemed plenty catastrophic. We talked about Asanoyama and Takayasu on our midway episode. Both of those guys only had a couple matches before things went very sideways. Yeah, we also had Onosho, who pulled out within just a couple days. He had a real rough go of it. If I remember right, he was he the one that re-aggravated his injury from years before, where he had that knee injury? But yeah, really, really rough tournament for injuries, and just the most heartbreaking way to see guys lose is when the toughest people on the planet doing the hardest sport in the world can't make it to the ring. That's heartbreaking. What's up, Flair?
It's sad. I just want to talk about Austin Noyama. It has been confirmed it's ACL.
Oh no!
I did read something when I was looking up Holshur's injury that apparently he's going to get surgery. So that's all kind of been decided.
Gotcha.
So he's decided that he wants to try to come back up again after some time off. And that's
going to be tough.
Yeah. Look at Waka Takakage. I looked it up. It's been about a year and a half since he was Sekiwake with a 96 record. I think Hatsu of 2023 is what I saw. So it's probably been
the knee injury happened the next tournament in March of 23.
Yeah. So it kind of depends what kind of ACL surgery. Once again, a lot of my friends have been breaking their ACL, so I've been kind of learning more about that.
Sure.
Whether or not you take something from a hamstring or a different, or a cadaver, like you don't want to do that in this case. You definitely want to do something either a quad or hamstring or some other kind of thing. But I'm getting off. It's still like the recovery time is still very long, the way it takes. So once again, this is a break that's kind of due to injury instead of causing a scandal. Like when he broke COVID protocol.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be really, really tough for him to climb up again. I bet that's gonna be really tough on his mental, and we'll see how he handles that.
Yes, indeed. Oh, sorry. One more quick note I had in here. Nishikigi, I talked some mad trash about him going 0-8 when we got to our midway. He then went 5-2. So he must listen to our podcast because he really turned it around week 2. Good for him.
Screw those guys.
Let's talk. Sorry, go ahead, Flair.
Were we still? Actually, no. I just wanted to bring up Rikshi because we're kind of seem like we're doing quick hits on some people.
Yeah. If you got anybody else, let me know. Otherwise, we can move on to Jurio after that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring up Endo, of where I was kind of worried about this guy, that he is kind of probably looking towards the end of his career. We know he has an elder stock too, so it's kind of a question of when he wants to kind of hang it up. But he did pretty good this Basho, and he actually went on a streak of 8 wins towards the for part of the Basho. So he still has some tricks, and he's still doing pretty well at the bottom. So
absolutely.
I'm hopeful he's going to stick around for a little bit longer.
Any other top division wrestlers before we move on to second division?
Good here.
All right. So in Jurio in the second division, Shirokuma was the Yusho winner. He went 12-3. Jurio was a wild Yusho race for like the entire second week. And Shirokuma was really not a front runner up until the very end. He had to go 7 of his last 8 in order to take this 12-3 victory. There were a couple other guys that were in it early that fell off, or a couple other guys that just kind of waited until the second week to really pop off and do well. So some of the names that you may recognize if you're a listener of this show, or if you like to watch Jurio, or if you are a couple of these guys actually connections to amateur sumo. So there you go. There's your free space on the bingo card of Jake mentioning amateur sumo for no reason. Shishi looked really good. Ukrainian guy. He was in the Yusho race right up until the end. So that was, like I mentioned, some guys fell off. Shishi ended up losing 3 of his last 6. So tough second week for him. But yeah, he started 9-1. So very solid performance. And I think he was he at his career highest rank at this one? No, not quite. Not quite. He's been slightly higher in Jurio, but yeah, he ended up at 11-4. 11-4. So did Haku Oho. 11-4 was kind of like in Jurio, they don't like award a June Yusho, is my understanding, but unofficially, that's the June Yusho. 11-4 is second place in Jurio. So Haku Oho, Shishi, both of these guys were in like the lower area of Jurio. They're gonna likely end up in the upper middle or so of Jurio. We'll see where they go. Shirokuma, let's see, where was he? He was at Jurio 8 with a 12-3. He's not going to make it to the top division, but he'll get kind of close, I think.
Whoa, look at you with some Bonsuke wizard
knowledge.
Watch me be wrong the one time I say something confidently about a Bonsuke prediction.
Ryan reaches through the screen, Freddy Krueger style. No!
Yeah, exactly. Onokatsu, sorry, go ahead, Flair.
Go ahead and finish it up. I just have a fun fact about Shirokuma.
Sure. Onokatsu is one of the guys that was in the Yusho race at the beginning and kind of fell off. He is for sure going up to the top division. He is only in his 5th Basho ever.
Oh,
he is still definitely, like I said, he's definitely Maegashira bound. He was in Juryo 1 West, and he went 9-6. There's, I think, 4 or 5 guys that will be dropping down from the top division, and Onokatsu is definitely one of the guys that will be bumped up. So we'll see exactly where he ends up. But yeah, he's a Mongolian who started in mid Makushita. Am I remembering right? I think this is the guy that was like the last guy to ever be granted the Makushita 15 Tsukedashi. I think that's him.
Could be. He has 15 start, so
he did start at Makushita 15, which is something that they do for people that have a very good amateur career. They let you bump up and start at a higher rank, but because so many people were doing that in the last year or two, they've decided, no, we're not going to start people that high. We'll start them lower.
Yeah,
but yeah, go ahead, Flair.
To just finish up on that point, Japan has a thing about people who join when they start out kind of being in the trenches for a while and actually kind of being like with kind of doing the hard work in the beginning, and then once you get better, then you can kind of go up. But since you did like the hard, like the trenches for a while in the beginning, like it kind of gives you some humbling. At least that's what they at least want to impart. It's kind of like something that with their culture they really like. I watched a baseball video about baseball in Japan that friend of the show Wada said, where he kind of was talking about in baseball. This is the same thing. When new professional baseball players join the pro leagues, they actually live in dormitories with everyone. So even though they're like professional, the highest stage, they're like with dormitories with everyone. And even Otani, the MVP of the MLB right now, he started off just living up with a bunch of dudes. And he was hot stuff back in high school, but he started off with just living with a bunch of dudes for a while until he moved on up. And the big issue with Makushita 15 was you can win one Basho and be in Juryo. So you kind of just skip the whole Sukebito thing after 1 month.
Yeah.
And so they kind of wanted to extend that a little bit more.
Yeah. Onosato, Haku Oho, these guys that in one perspective, you could say that they jumped the line when they shouldn't have. So yeah, that's kind of the idea that they are working against.
Yeah, and to bring back about the Shirokuma Shikona, it's I think it comes down to white bear, so polar bear.
It's a polar bear.
He's a polar bear. Isn't that awesome?
And she means awesome. Lion, so you got a polar bear and a lion. Like, this is cool.
Oh. The Shikona game is looking strong at the new generation. I can't wait.
All right, let's rocket through the lower division winners. In Makushita, we had Daiseisan, Makushita 2 East, so he is going to definitely be moving up to Juryo. Darn it, and I didn't write it down. Let's see, what is his highest rank? He is at his highest rank. He has never been above Makushita, so this will be his debut in Juryo. He's 24 years old. He's only been in Sumo for 2.5 years. Low-key prospect. We'll see how he does in Juryo, because this, I mean, like I said on the preview or the midway, I can't remember, we've kind of been spoiled with like historically fast rises. So like a guy who's on a normal super fast rise doesn't seem as mind-blowingly unique in this current age. But yeah, Daiseisan, that might be a name to watch for. Let's see how he does next Basho. Sandanme, we have the winner is Inami. Sandanme 55 West. He is 23. This is only his 3rd Basho. He also started late after university. He is 19-2 overall in his career. This guy is definitely a prospect. This is
nice.
Not low key whatsoever. This guy is on fire. Definitely somebody to watch for. In Jonidan, we have Sei Hakuho. Thank you.
Hakuho.
No, Sei Hakuho.
Hakuho.
Yeah, no, the guy's name, it's Sei Hakuho.
Hakuho.
All right, that's about enough mileage out of that. Jonidan 25.
Comes in threes.
He's 23 years old. This is only his 3rd Basho. He would have won his prior tournament, but he lost in a playoff. So yeah, this guy doing pretty well. Definitely cruising through lower divisions. And the Jonokuchi winner, the lowest division in professional sumo, is Shimizumi, Jonokuchi 14 West. He is also 23. This was his first Basho. And I did have to double check. This is not the same guy as Shimaazumi. It's Shimizumi, and I feel like that should be illegal. But
that's just mean.
Shimazumi has been in the top division before, and he's currently in Juryo. And Shimizumi is a new guy.
If they allowed Haku Oho, they're gonna allow this.
And I think they shouldn't have, because that's nonsense. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to all regroup, take our pee break, just, talk a little bit more crap on Ryan not being here, and then we'll be back to finish off our Nagoya 2024 recap.
If you enjoy the Grand Sumo Breakdown podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Support the show on Patreon and check out our blog, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
Also, watch us on YouTube.
Welcome back to the bane of my existence, the GSB Belt. So, one of the dumber possible things happened in the. I think we saw this coming on the midway, and we talked about this. The GSB Belt, where the winner of the match gets the belt, and then whoever beats that guy gets the belt, and so on and so on and so on. It started this Basho on Kyoku Kaiyu, who was in mid Makushita, and he did pretty well until he gave the belt to Kazuma, who is bottom of Makushita, which, okay, not a huge worry.
Yeah.
But then Kazuma lost to Toki Tenran, who is in Sandanme.
Ugh.
So they had a crossover division match between a guy in Makushita, our guy who had the belt, and Sandanme, the division below, and the guy in the division below won. So he pulled the belt down a few rankings. And then that jerk lost to somebody all the way down at Sandanme 55, a name we just mentioned, Inami. So Inami has the belt, which means that instead of being at Makushita 58, we're at Sandanme 55. We went down an entire division.
Wow.
Inami, though, he did go 7-0, which means he will be getting a hefty promotion. I'm guessing he'll be, I don't know, roughly mid Makushita where it was before. So it'll just be just nothing. This Basho the belt went nowhere. It didn't go up or down. By the time the next Bansuke comes out, we'll know exactly where. But in essence, nothing. Just nothing.
This makes me so happy and has made my day.
This belt might even be cursed before the prior one was cursed. Like the last one, the last belt that we did took like 2 years to get from Makushita to Juryo. This one can't even get to the top of Makushita. It's so frustrating. Now, the loser's belt has been a bit more interesting. This is the one where it started on the Yokozuna, and the loser of each match is the one who takes the belt, and we see how far the belt will go down, and it did not go very far either. So this one was also frustrating. It started on, let's see, Wakamoto Haru had the belt at the beginning of the tournament. He promptly beat Abi, so that means that Abi gets the belt. Then he beat Atami Fuji. Atami Fuji held on to the belt for a little while because he kept losing until he beat Wakamoto Haru, who then lost 6 days in a row. So he had the loser's belt for quite a while. Wakamoto Haru ended up beating Meisei. So Meisei ended the Basho with the belt at Maegashira 1, which means the belt went all the way down from Sekiwake to Maegashira 1.
One rank.
However, Meisei had a garbage tournament and went 4-11. So he is going to drag that belt down to like, I don't know, Maegashira 7 or so, somewhere in that region. So maybe a little progress. That'll be fun. We'll see where that belt ends up. That one has been a lot more fun to track now that we're on the third try of the GSB winner's belt. So that's at least a little bit more interesting to follow one down. Now, who would like to cover the GSB prediction series? I feel like Fleric, maybe Maybe you have a reason
hold on.
want to talk about this.
You need a moniker in there, Jake.
Yokozuna Fleric.
Sorry, we haven't been doing it all as much this episode, and it's been kind of nice, but it's like we've hit the CVC results. Got to do it.
Yeah, there you go.
I can always count on you, Mac, to make sure that the proper praise to the winner gets met.
I have toned down my annoying level just a little bit for this one.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Nothing's annoying. Just keep it coming. Keep it coming. It's great.
Speak for yourself.
Let's take another
Yokozuna
15 minutes. Let's go. I'll admit, like, I wasn't really following this much because I was a couple of days behind, probably consistently the whole entire time. So
sure.
So I just kind of checked in at the end, and I was very happy to see that I won. It was the best. This should happen more often.
Doesn't even follow it, and he still wins. Unbelievable.
Well, no. I'm looking at this with my pick. So my champ was Wakataka Kage. He had the most wins out of all of our picks. He had 0 bonus points, but he had the most points, and he still tied everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
the
went
rest of us. Go ahead, Flair. Sorry.
I was gonna say you went the risky direction of picking someone like away from all the other champs.
Yes.
So you aren't really eligible for bonus points.
Because I thought he would rise up and then they'd start matching him with I thought he'd have a meteoric rise from the ranks because we know where he stands or where he was. So it's like, okay, this was my strategy. Like, this should work, I hope. But man, it worked out decently.
11 wins is great performance for that. But for some reason, since he has been here before, he hasn't been getting those special prizes. So
I noticed that. There's no love.
Yeah.
There's no love.
But yeah, so Fleric won by picking Koto Zakura for a champ and Nishiki Fuji for a chump. Both were the best picks. So well done there. I ended up losing because I picked what's that?
I just wanted to say I'm the best. That's all.
Yes,
go ahead, Skibito.
You've earned it.
Your trash picks some more. I will allow it.
I did go a little bit for the memes when I knew it was over. I picked Hoshoryu for my champ, which was great for a while. Then I picked Bushozan for my chump, which felt like an absolute lock. But yeah, he ended up with an 8 and 7. When Hoshoryu pulled out and I needed to pick a new champ, I was like, you know what? Bushozan's doing pretty good. Let's see how he does. If he's not going to lose, at least I can still get points from him. And it kind of worked because he did win towards the end. But he, he went 1-1 on the 2 days that I had him. So I got a point from both. That was frustrating.
Yeah. But I think this has to be one of the closest champ v chump series that we've had because Flick, you won with 21 points. Then Ryan and I tied for second at 19, and then Jake at 18. Like that spread
tight.
Is 3 points. Like that's insane.
It's very tight.
Yeah,
but all right, it's about all that sumo knowledge and superior picking, which is difference maker.
That's exactly that.
And Ryan's not here, so let's quickly just talk about his trash picks of Ono Sato, a good idea, and also Mitakayumi, who I think kind of did okay, but looks like he got 8 points, so he probably had the Makikoshi, right?
Mitakayumi went 7 and 8, so yeah, that was a very mid chump pick.
So just total trash by Ryan. You should also bring up his game.
Part of why we fired him.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Where's that paperwork?
So that was kind of the prediction with our choices. Now we move on to the punishment, which is the Yokozuna's choice. And so we looked through the tape, we discussed stuff, and we talked about what hasn't been done for a while. And we found out that this one it's been a while since it's been done, probably about a year. But most importantly, Jake has not done this since probably the very first time back in 2019.
It was the very first one.
I remember this.
So we have about a 5-year gap of this, and I know this is going to be a divisive one, but Jake, I decree that you write me a sumo erotica as your punishment involving sumo wrestlers, I guess.
It is written. Do you have any particular wrestlers you want featured? Nope. Moving on.
I was tempted. I'm gonna say no. I'm tempted to do Hiradomi, but I don't want to kill that.
Oh no!
You don't want to make it weird for me.
I am a benevolent.
I appreciate you.
I will leave it open booked to whoever tickles your fancy.
All right. If I need any inspiration, I will let you know. All right. Next up, we have our bold predictions. We had a bunch of them that were absolute garbage. So we have a
there was a big list.
There was quite a few people that did not have any idea how this Basho was going to go. And because this is how it works, we get to make fun of you now. So thank you for playing. And here is your punishment, all of you guys. So first off, this was a fan that was dedicated enough to send an email to us and just, reached out on a personal level and was like, I think that Kirishima is going to get a 13-2 U show. So Molly, you are called out. Do better next time. That was bad.
Do better. Email us again. Please keep talking to us. We're lonely, but do better.
Speak for yourself. I have trash interviews on Twitter all the time about Sumo. No, I don't. I have moved on from that terrible phase of my life.
I missed that. Terrible trash interviews on Twitter. I meant arguments.
Arguments.
Okay, I get you.
Leo Dickinson said Onosato 13-2 U show and Ozeki promotion. Picking with the heart, didn't turn out. Sorry, Leo. Next up, inevitably, there's always one. Steve, Takayasu wins it all? Absolutely not. He wrestled one time.
Got injured and said, I'm out.
Along with that, we also have McKinley Sum, who said Takayasu Yusho. No. Onosato Jun Yusho, not correct, but not terrible. But the Takayasu Yusho, you got to get called out for that one. One more selection from our gigantic list here. Joe Stolman said Meisei 11-4 Yusho. Got to give you credit. You got the two right numbers. You put them in the wrong order. All right,
and then drop off the U show at the end.
Meisei
11-4. Bonus points for extra boldness. That's a ghost pepper spicy hot take there.
Oof.
Mac, why don't we turn it over to you? Why don't you read off our good predictions? Because we did have a couple of them that were pretty good.
Indeed, we did. So from HPO, Wakataka Kage and Kirishima will struggle to get winning records, 9 wins or less, not having good performances. Terunofuji will fight the whole time, and Takakeisha will finally lose Ozeki status. Not bad, actually.
Yeah, other than Wakataka Kage having a good basho, that was really, really good.
Up next, we have Chui Ken. Terunofuji stays in, but only gets a June U show. Onosato wins enough for an Ozeki committee meeting to be called, but gets told to wait until next basho. Kirishima gets stopped at 9 wins, Henko's at least once, and Asanoyama gives up a Fusen win. Again, not bad.
Not bad at all.
We also have Hedgehog Marginal, Terunofuji Zensho Yusho. We wanted it, we were hoping for it, but it didn't happen.
Not quite Zensho, but still. When we were so dismissive, none of the four of us even entertained the thought that Terunofuji would win this basho when we were doing our preview episode. So yeah, calling that out alone is not bold, but still very good pick.
None of us picked them.
No, none of us. Next up, we have Rod Lunsford, Takakeisho Makekoshi. Kirishima fails to achieve 10 wins, and Koto Zakura wins the U show. 2 out of 3. Well done.
And Koto Zakura was in, third place, I guess? Fourth?
Yeah, I guess that'd be right.
Whatever. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And finally, we have Pell's Strongest Soldier, Terunofuji Yusho, Takayasu and Onosato Jun Yusho. Again, you get pretty big bonus points for picking the U show winner, especially when none of the hosts even had him remotely on the radar at the beginning. So well done. But
and neither did most of the bold predictors.
Yes,
the listeners. Almost nobody picked Terunofuji for that either.
But Fleric, why don't you announce our T-shirt winner?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was still. Was it Steve who said no? Joe Stolman may say 11-4 U show.
You're still reeling from that, aren't you?
Focusing on that.
I said, bonus points for boldness.
Yeah. All right. So those were all some very good predictions, but there was one that was a cut above the rest, and who's going to be winning a GSB T-shirt. Because of that, we have Dave Ryan, who guessed Hiro Umi 10-5 as Shin Komusubi. and bullseye.
A perfect bullseye.
Yeah, as I checked the tape on Hirada Ume, it's really hard to find. But you know what? I'm just gonna trust Mac of saying bullseye.
Yeah.
Exactly correct.
Yes, that is
Well
correct.
done.
That is correct.
That is the best of the bold, because before this, none of us were ever guessed that at all. So very impressive.
Especially for a Shin Komosubi. It's like, what are you thinking here? Like, oh damn, he got it.
Mm-hmm.
So just wait. Yeah, wait for us to reach out to you for your details, and we'll send a GSB shirt your way. But congratulations. Well done.
Absolutely. Next up, we have a handful of GSB awards. Mac, why don't you take us away with the first one here?
I can do that. The first award is the What's Your Problem Award, which goes to both Oho and Kinbozan on day 5. We still have no idea what got these guys' hackles up. Was it a deep Nodawa? Was it a face slap? We have no idea, but there was genuine rage and emotions in this match. So much so that once Oho won, Kinbozan didn't even bow. He just stared at it. Now, Oho also stared at Kinbozan from off the ring and just glared at him, but Kinbozan gave it right back when he was supposed to bow. So no idea what their problem is, but they get an award for it.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have the Amateur Sumo Wrestlers Should Be Watching This Guy's Tape Award, which goes to the aforementioned Hirodoumi's Tachiai. Absolutely a ton to learn. You might need to put YouTube on slow motion in order to catch it, but watch that Tachiai, see if you can learn from it.
Next up, we have the What About Shodai Award. So the guy went 10-5, wasn't really talked about or cared about.
Nobody cared.
We were going through the list. So what about Shodai?
And not even us, but like also like we within our Discord and like, you know, just our general Twitter trolling, like just completely forgotten.
Yeah, it's just completely spaced. Like, okay, so you get the What About Shodai Award.
Yeah.
I finally did not realize he got a double-digit win.
Exactly.
That's why he gets this award. It's like, huh? All right, here you go.
Yeah.
All right. For the next award, we have the fastest rikshis in the East. This is going for Wakataka Kage and Midori Fuji when they faced off, because that was just an electric battle of two of the fastest rikshis out there, and it was very entertaining to watch.
Absolutely. Then the Shinbreaker Award goes to Tobizaru for landing an absolute killer leg sweep on Oshoma on day 14.
It was beautiful.
Yep, gonna have a big old goose egg on the shin after that one, I'm guessing. Okay, next up, match of the Basho. We have 5 nominees, 3 of which we actually already talked about on the midway, but we'll skim through those real quick. Oshoma versus Midori Fuji was on day 4. Hokuto Fuji versus Nishiki Fuji was on day 6. The one that we were ranting and raving about was Terano Fuji versus Ura on day 7. That was definitely the one that was the front runner at the halfway point. Since then, we also had Kageyaki versus Midori Fuji on day 14. Midori Fuji making a 3rd entry into this awards section for excellent matches. And then Terano Fuji versus Takanosho, that the playoff match in particular, the one that Terano Fuji won when all the pressure was on. It was unanimous between the 3 of us. Ryan voted, but we're going to ignore it because Ryan wanted to go for a match that wasn't even on here. He just always goes for the boring ones. He's just the worst kind of sumo fan. So obviously, Terano Fuji versus Ura, day 7,
Ooh.
Match of the Basho. Probably a shoe-in at this point. 4 Bashos in, shoe-in for match of the year. We'll see what Aki and Kyushu bring, but yeah, that was probably the best match I've ever seen, and I don't think anything in the second week topped it for me. You guys have any comments on any of those matches or anything you wanted to bring up about that one that we picked?
I just, for the Terano Fuji Ura, just seeing like a healthy Terano Fuji going against Ura, who just does Ura things. It was just some fun, high energy back and forth, and it was
just his. No, you got to play it. Just his wiliness, just being able to keep pace with Ura as he's slipping, dodging, diving, trying everything he can do, and then just wore him out. Like, well done.
Yeah,
we've talked. We briefly talked about like the future of Terano Fuji. What were we gonna talk about him in the future? Because like he realistically is probably on his way out, but he's still here. He's still bringing some great matches. He's still winning Yushos.
Totally.
And so just getting gems like this, I'm just going to enjoy these little snacks while he keeps on offering them up to me.
Exactly.
Great match.
Yes, indeed. Those two, Terunofuji is 8-1 against Ura, but I can remember off the top of my head 3 or 4 of those because they are always bangers. So let's close things up here with everybody's favorite moment of the Basho. Mac, we're going to start with you, and then Fleric. What was the best moment for you?
For me, it's sorry, Flex. It was. I have to go back to the playoff just because they're so rare when they happen. Everything's on the line. The pressure's all cranked up from both sides, and this playoff or this tournament was no different. This was not a blowout. It was great. Both guys brought it back and forth, and the Yokozuna wound up on top. So gotta love it.
Yeah, I would mostly echo that. I want to just throw out some very cinematic moments that stood out with me, sure. Like the Terunofuji look after Takanosha won on day 15. That the camera cut to him, and he was like, "Oh man, the pressure is on." And then after he won the Yusho, I'm not sure if it was on the other streams that people have watched, but on the Kitamiyama video, there's that Hakuho in his like suit thing, just going like big kiss on his cheek for Terunofuji after he won. It was just so fantastic. Sure. But just to bring up some other things of just because they're kind of sad, just a sad thing, but it's definitely a moment of the Basho is the Ozeki falling. Kirishima officially fell, and Taka Keisho is kind of on his way down, and maybe for good. Those really stood out to me this Basho.
Yep. Yeah, for me, it was actually our match of the Basho. The midway weekend, I guess it would have been. Yeah, it would have been that Saturday because we recorded on Sunday. Yeah, on that Saturday, we got together in person. We were just doing some other stuff in town, and me and Ryan were chatting, and I was like, oh, yeah, I hadn't caught up yet on today's matches. Terunofuji's still in the lead, and Ryan opened his mouth. He was like, you need to watch Terunofuji versus Ura. He didn't say another word about it. He's like, you need to watch that match.
Just go do that right now.
Yeah, he was thinking like, what do I even say? Nothing. I say nothing. I tell him to go watch the match, and then I shut up. And yes, that was. I'm so grateful that he did not spoil that one for me because, yeah, during that match, yes, Ura lost, but like, oh my God, did he almost have him so many times? And like that, yeah, that match was magic, and I appreciate so much that I was told to watch it with no spoilers or anything like that. Yeah, that was probably my favorite individual moment. So keep an eye out for our Bansuke episodes in between. Keep an eye out for our amateur sumo coverage. The next Basho begins on September 8th. That is the Aki Basho in Tokyo. That is the same weekend as the Sumo World Championships in Poland. So I will mention it many, many times before then. Keep an eye out for some interviews, maybe a pre or post event episode as well. We'll just see what happens there. But we are very excited for it. We have a very awesome Team USA going over there to Poland, hopefully bringing some medals home again for the second year in a row. Fleric, why don't you close us out?
All right. That's right. I did better than everyone else here at the end of year prediction last year. So I have the privilege to open up the episode and close it out. And
really milking that privilege, aren't we?
Yeah. No, but he's earned it.
More than Ryan has.
Yeah.
And with that, for Sukebito Jake and for Mac, I've been Fleric. Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time, throw your salt high and keep moving forward.